this press conference is prompted by the media information that we have confiscated 22 containers of processed wood at the buffer zone, and also some of the efforts at the border communities that have also led to arrest and confiscation of over 400 logs. This is what prompted this press conference. We believe that this ministry, we need to share information with the general public, and you are the mouthpiece to get that information to the public. As a result, we decided that we should call for this press conference. And some of you may remember, last week on Wednesday, I appeared, and my team, we appeared before the National Assembly Select Committee on Environment to clarify some of the issues surrounding this arrest of this wood at buffer zone, as well as the ones that are now being piled up at Farato Farms. It is important that we set the context. As a government, as a responsible and responsive government, we cannot shun our responsibility. As a result, the problems that we are encountering, particularly in the environment sector, most of the problems are inherited problems. And we found this on the ground, and we have to come up with innovative ways of how do we gradually phase this out. And it's that gradual process of phasing the process of obtaining wood from foreign countries into the country that we have adopted over the years. As a result, in 2017, when we newly came into government, we found some logs that were stranded in the country, and we give a window of opportunity to these vendors because they have invested heavily in this venture, and as a result, they were given the opportunity just for us to set the context. They were given opportunity, and they were able to sold what they have, sell what they have, and in 2019, some of them complained seriously that some of these logs are not completed, and we gave opportunity. From henceforth, there was a complete moratorium on the movement and exportation of logs out of this country. But you know, this is a complex setup. You still have unscrupulous businessmen and some unscrupulous officers who would definitely connive with these people to get this thing into the ports. This particular incident, before coming to the buffer zone incident, we were tipped, we get intelligence that some containers were already into the ports. And together with the Gambia Police Force and with the intelligence, we were able to trace all these containers, and they were taken out of the ports. And right now, the culprit is going to court, and the judgment for that is set for the 19th of this month. The containers are parked at Sukuta. We were okay. We said okay. Now that we know the tactics that they use, we see how best to get them even before going into the ports. And a month later, this other incident also happened at buffer zone when it was not even moved. And some of them, the tactics they use, they wait until late at night. The information we got at 3 a.m. to transport this from their location to what they call their depots, and from there they move it to the ports. But and some of them we now understand would use false declaration. Instead of saying this is wood, they would say this is groundnut, this is cashew, but that should not be an excuse, because as an officer responsible, before you could certify anything, then you need to verify it inside. So this measure is now being reinforced, and this is why all these things are coming to light. And sometime at about 23rd of last month, on Friday, we got this intelligence, and the Gambia Police Force CMC, the Crime Management Coordinator, together with our RFO, that is the regional forest officer in Brikama, made a visit to this particular site, and they found 22 containers at the buffer zone. And then I was informed. I spoke to both the IGP and the CMC, and also the Director of Forestry, and immediately I ordered them for a preliminary investigation to look into this matter as to who owns and what is the number, what is in the container, and what are the container numbers, because this goes to show a lot about the characteristics of the transaction. So they found 22 containers on site, and 5 of them were empty, and the 16th of the containers were stuffed with processed wood, and 1 was stuffed with round logs. And as a result, the RFO, together with his director, generated a report which was forwarded to us, and some recommendations were made in the report, and I immediately endorsed the recommendation that the suspect should be immediately arraigned before the court of law, because this is a democracy. We have to observe the rule of law in the country, and whatever the outcome of the court, we must also be ready to respect that as a democratic country. So with regards to that, the person was arraigned to appear. I think it should be today, but we were told that it's now moved to tomorrow to appear before the court. So far, this is where we are, and we are working with the Gambia Police Force to ensure that we look into all the tactics that they are using to beat our system, to get these things to do it on their own way. In addition, as I said, we have also strengthened surveillance over our borders, particularly in the northern part of the country, where most of these things are coming from to be transported across our border. Fortunately, for the police commissioner in URR, were able to make arrest of certain logs at the landing site, which I have already given instruction for them to be immediately transported and be deposited at the Farato farms, where we will put all these illegal things together so that in accordance with the Forest Act, we will use some of the options in the disposal of such materials. And so far, they have transported over 450 logs that are already deposited at the Farato farms. So we believe this is worth for the public to know that these are some of the things that we are doing. And prior to this, we have made several efforts together with our counterparts in Senegal. Personally, I extended an invitation to my colleague, Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development of the Republic of Senegal at the end of 2019. And we have made some agreements that not agreements per se, but to have a work program that would be, shared by the two countries and the two forest officers and the security officers. And one very important thing that that was highlighted in that was for the two countries to have joint patrol teams of both securities. And we had done this in 2018. I think this paid a lot of dividend. In one day, I think, if my memory serves me, DPS, they were able to make 20 arrests of horse carts and donkey carts across the other side of the border in Senegal. So we have seen that this requires a bilateral effort. Not only one country can solve this. Therefore, we have to come together as two sisterly countries to ensure that we put in mechanisms that will help us to curb this environmental catastrophe. Why Gambia is so much interested in this is because Gambia and Senegal share the same climatic zone. And anything that happens in Senegal can easily and obviously affect the rainfall pattern, and it can also have some negative consequences on our environment. So it is important that we put our efforts together because all of you would remember in 2019-2020 crop season, both countries experienced serious droughts. And in the Gambia, when we have conducted, together with the Ministry of Agriculture, a pre-harvest studies, it was indicated that over 350,000 farmers who were affected by the dry spell of over 25 days. So these are signals that the hydrological cycle of this region is tampered with, and the only thing to remedy it is to come up with some restoration programs that will help restore some of the tree species that we have lost.